Hello, welcome everyone. This is Betty Osei Bonsu, and I'll be your host for today. This is the Zero Waste webinar for the upcoming door-to-door sensitization happening at Dade Kotopon Municipal Assembly. This webinar is termed Zero Waste for All Communities, and it follows suit. And the theme for the webinar is promoting citizen participation, effective waste management. Thank you for clarifying that. And this webinar is geared towards training the trainers or training the volunteers who will be embarking on the sensitization coming Friday and Saturday of this month. So this is called the door-to-door sensitization, and we'll be having a buyback of plastic within this day or these days that the sensitization will be taking place. So we'll have the communities bringing in all their plastics to create more awareness and also inform them that this kind of project is taking place within that particular area. And the area I'm talking about is the Dade Kotopon Municipal Assembly. The theme for this particular campaign is called Promoting Citizen Participation in Effective Waste Management. And the dates are Friday and Saturday, 11th and 12th of March. Time, 7 a.m. GMT. Please, it's not a Ghana time. This is main time, 7 a.m. Let's do also come early so that we can leave early. And the venue is at Dade Kotopon Municipal Assembly. And one very important thing is you have to endeavor to bring along your refillable water bottles. Please do, very, very important. So this particular sensitization or program falls under our Zero Waste Accra project. This project is geared towards developing a sound waste management strategy that can be replicated across communities. Just last year, we launched our Zero Waste strategy. Those of you that haven't seen it, it will be placed in the chat box for you to see. You can go on our website and take a peek on the Zero Waste strategy and how it can help eliminate or should I say promote effective waste management within municipalities and beyond. And the objectives of this our project, that's the Zero Waste Accra project, is to deliver a community-driven zero waste strategy to divert waste from our oceans and our environment, to create partnership, both with private and public organizations, and train existing small, medium-scale enterprises within communities and beyond to utilize municipal waste, or should I say just normal waste or raw materials, to create useful products, promoting alternative livelihoods. So this is the agenda for today's meeting. It's not so long. We just have 1 hour, 30 minutes, and we're out of here. We want the feedback to be coming from you. We want the questions to be coming from you. All we want to do is equip you with the knowledge in terms of how to go on your sensitization. When you get there, what you are going to say. When you get there, what will be in your hands. How do you do it? And any other things you think you would want us to explain to you. So this is the agenda. So following, I would like to call on Francis Tete Lawrence from LADMA, who will be taking us through the objectives of today's webinar, the reason why we are gathered here, as well as the linkage between this project and that of the Assembly in terms of the partnership. Francis, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Betty. So basically, our mission is to provide socioeconomic development for the people within the municipality through effective mobilization and deployment of fiscal, human, and material resources with key stakeholders. Yeah, so in an effort to implement a sustainable sound waste management system, LADMA has decided to collaborate with a Green African Youth Organization, GAYO, to implement a sound waste management strategy for the people within the municipality. Unlike the other partnership, LADMA-GAYO partnership is not going to be a 9-day wonder. It will complement the Assembly's effort in keeping the municipality clean whilst providing jobs for the people within the communities. And so that brings me to the 3 main objectives of this webinar. The main objective of this webinar is to create awareness on zero waste projects and waste management. It's also to train volunteers to embark on the sensitization program as it will be carried out on Friday, Saturday. And also we are promoting zero waste ambassadors while empowering them with skills and knowledge. And so I'm glad to inform you that we have some of, I don't know whether they are all on the platform. The unit committee members are also privileged to be here.
Yes, some of them have joined.
All right, thank you. Mr. Abbas. And we also have the national service personnel here who assist us in the outreach. So colleagues, you are all welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Betty.
Okay, thank you very much, Francis, for that. So as he mentioned, Francis, the assembly, LADMA, Dade Kotopon Municipal Assembly, is working hand in hand with GAIO to implement the Zero Waste Accra project. And we are looking forward to further cooperations with other organizations and delivering a successful project that will drive waste from our environment and beyond. Now, next on the agenda is a keynote speech from our programs manager and co-founder of Green Africa Youth Organization in the person of Desmond Aluguno. So Desmond, if you are here, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Betty. You're welcome, everyone. I'm glad to see familiar faces, especially, and also new people. I'm very glad that Francis took the time to explain the enthusiasm that LADMA is having on this project. It's been a long road, as Betty mentioned. After several rounds of consultations with the communities, with the municipal assembly, producing this strategic document that would help facilitate waste management in general. Now we are coming with partners to support us, incentivize and motivate and educate people on how to properly handle, transport, and manage their waste. At this point where people are gathered here, I know the numbers are expecting to be more. I know tomorrow we will have a lot of people also anticipating for Friday and Saturday for this. And all that I can wish everyone is positive energy. I believe that everyone who is joining this course is out of passion and out of service to mankind. So we will make sure that all resources that are required from our side, from the side of the partners, are made available to all of you. We'll make sure that all the support that is required of us will be made available for all of you. But we encourage you to make sure that you extend the call to come out to all the people that work with you, all the people that you know, all the communities that you live within, and spread the word so that on that day, when we come out in our numbers at the end of the day, we would have had success. I wish you all the best, and I wish you every bit of luck. And I encourage you to reach out to Betty, reach out to me, reach out to anyone when you do not understand something or when you need clarity on any of the points that are going to be raised today and going forward. If you want to understand properly, what do you say when you get to a home? If you want to understand how do you approach homes, if you want to understand where and when should you find yourself, every information will be made available to you, and you can always reach out for clarity. I would hand over back to you, Betty, and I wish you all.
Okay, thank you very much, Desmond. That was a great speech from your end. You mentioned it all. We need everyone to come on board for this project. It's all towards the sustainability and the betterment of our community. So next on the agenda, we have a poetry on plastic waste management within communities. And the person to help us deliver this poetry is Nana Kofi, who serves as a poet. Nana Kofi, if you're on the call, the floor is yours.
Hello, good afternoon to you all, and I do believe you can all hear me loud and clear.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so then we are good to go. All right, I'm so excited about this, and it's all geared towards to plastic waste and waste management in general. So let's enjoy this piece. I've entitled this as "Are We Safe?" That is the title of my poetry. Are we safe? Worldwide, 73% of each liter is plastic. Do you know that 83 billion can be generated from recycling of plastic waste, but only 2% of these waste products are being recycled? Well, there is more work to be done. Lifespans can be increased by helping to maintain good health. Around the world, over 800 children die every day from preventable diarrhea-related diseases caused by lack of access to water, sanitation, and hygiene, according to source. Are we safe? The question being asked is rhetorical, but brings a lot of questions and answers in our thinking. If sanitation is our natural right, why do we tend to destroy our own earth out of our own mess? After that, we bring solutions to it. Are we progressing or retrogressing? We all have a great role to play. As it is said, that little drops of water makes a mighty ocean. Littering one piece of rubber on the floor would create refuge. You see, I look at the riverbank and I see into the sea rubbish being wrapped and packaged, ready for delivery. The state of sanitation in the nation is becoming disheartening. Our gutters are being flooded and choked with unwanted materials. Let's work harder to save the environment. We shouldn't only protect our environment, but let's create an awesome environment that needs no protection. Mother Nature needs to be protected from those who don't want to see her beauty, disposing and dumping rubbish anywhere, anyhow. How can sanitation be a public health condition? Anytime we look good in our appearances, let's check our environment too. Oh, open defecation, becoming a ranking member of problems to sanitation. It's abomination in our nation, seeing the young, old men and women squatting in defecation, urination into our water bodies, beaches, claiming that the air will feel relaxed when the air passes their anus. Oh, Mr. Romanus, this isn't comedies. Please, let's find the right remedies to sanction such felonies. Our country's beauty can't be seen completely if you continue to clothe her in filth and to make her dirty. Thank you very much.
Wow, wow, wow. Our country won't be with melody when we seem to clothe her with death. I think this and many more I caught from that powerful poetry you just said to us. That was a great delivery. Wow, wow. We have
Thank
to
you
just
very much,
give
Betty.
some round of applause. Thank you so much for that excellent.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You're welcome.
Hope together, as you said, we can create the better environment we want. Little drops of water makes a mighty ocean. So wherever you are, the little effort you can make in your end can contribute to the global plastic waste management or waste issues we see around. So now next on the agenda is we'll be hearing from a very important person in the person of Emmanuel Toxin from Arusha, Ghana. He'll be taking us through tips when it comes to embarking on a sensitization. We'll be having a very interesting discussion with the head of waste management of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. So kindly stay tuned, but before that, we would want to just give a more background into sensitization, how to embark on it, and how to use the campaign guideline we have prepared for you all. So to help us to deliver the tips on embarking on the sensitization, we have Emmanuel Toxin. Emmanuel Toxin, if you're on the page, the floor is yours, if you're on the call.
All right, thank you, Betsy, for this opportunity to share with us all on how to sensitize on plastics and waste management, awareness creation, and sensitization. I think that it is timely and to do this. Plastics and waste management in Ghana has become one of the biggest bane to Ghana's development, and the time has come for us to really sensitize and raise awareness on the issue. So I appreciate you and the team for putting me on this. I would like to share some few tips on how to prepare yourself to sensitize and raise awareness on waste management, especially on plastics. So first of all, we have to be self-motivated. Aside the fact that we are going as a group to embark on this sensitization, individually, you have to be self-motivated to embark on this particular sensitization and awareness. For you to be part of the solution, for you to educate someone who doesn't know the issues around the plastics, someone who doesn't have clues as to where to separate, how to manage their waste, you should have that self-motivation within yourself, that you are a solution to the biggest, if I can say, the biggest environmental crisis in Ghana. If you're not self-motivated, then you would just follow the crowd and you wouldn't be very impactful on the ground. You would either be shy or you wouldn't be able to confront the real issues that you would face on the ground. So one, self-motivation is very crucial to be part of a solution. It should be what should motivate you to embark on this particular exercise. And then one other thing is to also know your audience. We should know the people that we are going to sensitize. We are going to the Dade Kotopon Municipal area, and we should know their language, know the age group, those the age group who we are going to sensitize. It will show whether we are going to speak English, whether we are going to speak a local dialect, or whether we are going to, show more of demonstration. If you do not know the age, or you're not, you don't know your audience, then you might go to a nearby shop or a household and you would, speak just English. One, they will not identify with you. Two, they will think that, waste management is an elite thing, and so they are not part of it. It's, Zoom Lions challenge. But if you come down to the local dialect, if you come down to understand them, when you're speaking to the elderly, you know how to communicate. When you're speaking to the young person, you know how to communicate. When you're speaking to, a child, you know how to communicate. So it is important to know your audience, who you are going to talk to. Then you prepare yourself on how to communicate or to deliver your information. And one other thing, also, we should not go there to just to, put information in their heads, but we should try to understand what they think about the whole issue, their perception. So you draw them to, you ask them questions about what they think about plastics, what they think about waste management. Whose responsibility is it? Is it the government's responsibility? Is it Zoom Lion's responsibility? I'm using Zoom Lion because most of the people, when you go on the ground, will think that it's not their issue. It's Zoom Lion as the giants in the waste industry. And so you should question them. What do you think about this? What is happening? The waste, the plastics on our street, who do you think should be responsible? Once you draw the questions, then you establish, that kind of rapport with them. And then you can begin to inform them as to what they can do. You suggest to them as to what they can do to correct how they handle the waste within their communities. And then one other thing is to make it real to them, make the case real to them. So you cannot go there. You shouldn't just go there and say that about 200 tons of plastics are dumped into the oceans every year. They wouldn't understand. But we can say that for every minute, one truck of Zoom Lion is poured into, the river or the sea. Now they would understand one truck of Zoom Lion every minute is poured into the sea. That is why the fishermen go there and then they catch fish, they catch plastics and not fishes. So they would identify with it. Then they will begin to ask questions. So we make it real to them. An example that you can give to make it very real to them is to question them how they generate their waste. For example, how many plastics they have generated in a day. They go out to buy in the morning. So in the morning, have you bought a cocoa? Have you bought porridge? How many plastic do you think you generated? They will tell you, oh, it was put into this, it was put into that. 3 in the afternoon, how many do you generate? They will tell you, and you do the calculation, and you realize that they themselves, within a day, they have generated about 10 plastics, they themselves. And so they see that they are the problem, and they themselves can also be the solution to the problem. So when you do this, you make them feel part of the problem and part of the solution, rather than just going to inform them what to do or how it's a national, issue. And then some would really throw you off. Some would, react or give us kind of comments that you wouldn't like, but you have to relax and then respond appropriately to some of the questions that would come and use them as an example. Then you can win their trust, and then they can begin to change from how they handle the issue. We would also have to try to demonstrate how the separation can be done. So maybe you can have plastic bottle, empty bottle in your hands, and how it can be crushed, how you just a simple 2 big bags for collection. One can be used for plastics and the other for the other waste, in a very simple way. You can just demonstrate it in front of their shops, wherever that you find. You can just demonstrate that it is very easy, and they don't have to go through any complex channels to do the separation, because some of them would think that when it comes to separation of plastics, separation of waste, it is cumbersome, it is something for the elites, and so they cannot do it. But you should explain to them how easy it is, and they are the solutions for their menace. And then, yes, so you let them feel part of the solution. You let them know that they are the solution, and not in governments and these big waste management organizations. They just come to help us, carry the plastics or the waste away. But you let them understand that they are the solution. They are the ones who would make the community clean. They are the ones who would make the community livable. So when they feel part of the solution, then they begin to change. So these are the small tips that I would share with you. You should let them feel part of the solution, demonstrate the recycling where you can demonstrate. You have to respond appropriately some of the harsh questions or comments that would come, and their perceptions, what they think about the whole issue. You ask them questions and all of that, and then be self-motivated. Know that you are being what a tutor, you are changing somebody's mindset. Once you have that personal motivation, you would feel it's easy to educate someone and sensitize someone on the issue. So thank you very much. I would rest it here. If you have any other questions, I would be glad to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Make them part of the solution, and you should be part, or you should be self-motivated. That was a great presentation from your end, Emmanuel. Thank you so much for delivering that speech on tips for embarking on a sensitization. I hope we've picked one or two things from that, and hopefully when we go into the community, we'll be able to speak to them at that low level, be so patient with them, answer all the questions they have. So now, coming to all the questions they have, we're not just going to send you into the communities like that, but we have a guideline for you to follow. So when you meet somebody, what is the first thing you say? Yes, apart from starting with, my name is, and I am working with, what are you supposed to say? And that is the next person we have on the call. He is going to be taking us through how to use the campaign guideline. I would also project from our end here. He's in the person of Eldad Ancom and serves as the project coordinator for Gaio at or within Kumasi. Eldad, the floor is yours. I would also share.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and then good afternoon to everyone. And then I would like to also say congratulations for being part of this landmark event or activity. It's a landmark activity because it is geared at changing the way people do things. And then at the end of the day, when we talk about the success of this whole thing, the commitment of the volunteers and everything will be mentioned as well. Okay, so basically, we are looking at a campaign within communities, and then the idea is to promote citizenship or citizens' participation in effective waste management. So basically, what volunteers are going to be doing would be what I call disrupting people's activities for some minutes to be able to share the concept and then the principles behind the whole project with them. So this disruption is going to occur within their homes. Some would be watching, they are relaxed, doing so many things. Some would be at their workplaces, and then all other places that the team would direct. So if we call it disrupting their regular activities because they do not have a plan that you'll be coming. So in that on that note, approach is everything. And then the speaker before, Emmanuel, spoke about your enthusiasm. So on this one, I would call calculated enthusiasm, because if it's not calculated, it can go a long way to mess everything. So if the enthusiasm is not calculated, it goes a long way to probably mess up everything. Because if you don't get them on the right note, they might not listen in the first place. And even if they listen, they might not listen with the focus that we want to achieve. Okay, so based on that, the team has put together guidelines to guide the activity so that we will all speak the same language, we will all work according to the same pattern so that we can set objectives. So I'll briefly take us through the roughly 8 parts guidelines, which is all put together in about 2 pages. So the first part of the campaign guidelines is to introduce the project. So we have the what, where, and then who. So the what talks about the zero waste project in general. So where we would introduce to the community what has been happening behind the scenes for months now, what has been going on, the engagement with stakeholders. That is the zero waste. And it's called zero waste not because waste is going to disappear, but it's called zero waste because waste is going to change its current essence and its current representation to resources in a manner that will deliver green jobs in the municipal. So zero waste. And then it's happening, as we all know, in Dade Kotopon Municipal Assembly. And then the who, we talk about the main stakeholders. And then we are mentioning these things because they are, when you talk about things regarding municipal assemblies, sometimes it triggers certain kind of questions that if you are not strategic about it, you might find yourself falling on political lines. You might find yourself falling on other lines that might cause you not to even be welcome in the first place. So that is why we have to be very careful and see how we communicate within the framework of this guidelines. So the implementers of this project, it is simply Green African Youth Organization bringing together regulators. Regulators, we are talking about the Municipal Assembly, and then the entire community to achieve zero waste or to achieve sustainable waste management strategy within Dade Kotopon Municipal Assembly. So basically, those are the stakeholders. So Green African Youth Organization bringing together Dade Kotopon Municipal Assembly as a government regulating agency, and then the community to together achieve this concept of zero waste. It is not anyone's manifesto. It is not any institution trying to catch waste offenders here and there or not. No, we are looking at how best together regulators and then the community can sit down and look at the concept of waste and then how we can address it. So basically, that's it about the stakeholders. And then to achieve that, the part 4 would be a survey of waste practices, and then also the community involvement in zero waste. So this will include a separate survey which is going to be undertaken within the communities. And then you will get to a point when someone would want to find out what then is, or how do we go about it. So the key principle or the key baseline is segregation or waste segregation. Before we can address waste in its present state, it has to go into a state where it can be manageable, it can be appealing for people to really sit around it and work on it. So that is where we look at segregation, which is a conscious effort to put together materials of similar kinds, or to take them from their raw state into states that are separate and identifiable. So plastics going to one side, organics going to one side, and then all other different components so that it can be easy to work on or work with. And then the next part would look at the importance of waste segregation and the benefits to the individual. So after we've been able to separate waste into its integral components, what is the benefit, or why should a household take the pain of separating their waste? Why should we do that? So the first point is it makes it easier to recycle and then work on it so that we can create alternative livelihood. And then also helps to really reduce the amount of waste that ends up in landfills. Currently, look at the disturbances in Ukraine. And then because Russia is a major supplier of fertilizer, now the embargoes that are being placed on them, they are also retaliating, and that is affecting fertilizer supply all over the world. And we have a country where organic waste is a majority of our waste. We throw away, we pay money to work on, and then we are still crying over food insecurity and stuff like that. So is it not a time for us to look at ways, ingenious ways where we can turn around this organic waste to solve the problem of food security? So this is one of the advantages of looking at waste segregation. And then also encourages a cleaner environment, avoids or cuts down on diseases, and then as stated in the other points. So then the last part of it is now, okay, so how do we now segregate waste? And the points are listed. We have categories: paper, glass, metal, plastic, textiles, rubber, leather, and wood. So the first thing is what we will collect them inside, and then the practice of separating the individual waste into each of the containers. And then we have other points that are outlined under the how does one segregate, which is very easy to understand. Okay. And then there is another section for questions that may come up in our interaction. So the key is that, as Emmanuel said, we should be strategic and calculated in our enthusiasm and in our communication, and then see how we will identify with the people we are communicating with. So basically, that is what the campaign flyer seeks to achieve. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eldad. You have said it all from your presentation. One thing I grabbed was the fact that, can you see me? Okay, one thing I grabbed from your presentation was that it is not called zero waste because waste would disappear, but because waste becomes of an essence, which is very, very important. Everybody should grab this and take this along after this webinar. So next on the agenda, we'll be having how to segregate, someone delivering a presentation on how to segregate in the person of Susanna from Cesar Recycling. So while she's prepping herself to come on board, I would want us to take our time and look through this document on how does one segregate. Just 1 minute to read through this text. Okay, so Susan, kindly confirm if you're on the call. Okay, while Susan is prepping herself, so how does one segregate? First of all, you have to know the various types of materials. When you know to get dedicated bags, after getting dedicated bags, then you should be able to separate your dry from wet waste and the various types of waste we have. When you're done, you have to know the area you are supposed to send your waste to. And with that, at least you have a general outline of how to actually segregate your waste. So now I'm going to share Susan's slide for her to begin with her presentation. Susan, kindly confirm if you're on the call whilst I share your slide with the audience.
Good evening once again. And my name is Susan, rep from Cesar Recycling Limited. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So, and I'm sure we can go on. Okay. So we are asking, what is waste? Merriam-Webster dictionary says that waste are unwanted or unusable materials. Waste is any substance which is discarded after primary use or is worthless, defective, and of no use. Solid waste includes garbage, construction debris, commercial refuse, sludge from water supply or waste treatment, or air pollution control facilities and other discarded materials. So then we are asking, what are the types of waste? We have the liquid waste, which is commonly found in our household as well as industries. They include dirty water, organic liquids, wash water, waste detergents, and even rainwater. Then we move on to the other type of waste, which is the solid waste. And it can also be found in our household as well as commercial and industrial locations. And it is commonly broken down into the following types. So we have the plastic waste, which consists of bags, containers, jars, bottles, and many other products that can be found in our household. And then we realize that they are biodegradable. And many of our plastics that we use in our households can be recycled. Then we have the paper and card waste. They include the packaging materials, newspapers, cardboards, and other forms of products. Then we are seeing that these papers can be recycled and reused. So to make sure, we are to make sure we place these ones in our recycling bin or take them to the closest recycling depot. Then we have the tins and metals. They are also found in our various homes. And then majority of these metals can also be recycled. Okay. Then we have the organic waste, which includes our food waste, our garden waste, our manure, our rotten meat. And then we have the recyclable rubbish. They include all waste items that can be converted into products that can be used again. So solid items can be in the form of paper, can be in the form of metals, furniture, organic waste, which can all be recycled. And then we have the hazardous waste, which includes all types of rubbish that are flammable, toxic, corrosive, and then reactive. Then again, we are saying that there's a production of over 1 million tons of plastic being manufactured in our society today. But we are unable to recycle even a 90% of these plastics. It's just about 5 to 10% of these plastics that are recycled. So the question is, where does the remaining 95 or 90% of these plastics go to? We realize that they happen to be in our oceans, in our gutters, and then when it rains, we see it's causing flood, attracting mosquitoes, causing malaria, and all other health-related problems. Please, the next slide. Yeah. So, CISA Recycling is a recycling company in Ghana with a mission to alleviate poverty through plastic recovery and improve circular economy. So what does CISA does? What we do is that when we go into our various communities, we take these plastic materials that are segregated from the people, and then we end up giving them some form of money or other incentives to support what they are doing. And then also, aside the monetary aspects, we are also able to supply them with high quality products, which are recycled out of the plastics that have been discarded of. Here's the next, yes. So, so we are seeing that through the digital and innovative incentive programs for local communities, CISA is providing high quality recycled source with high social impact in Ghana. So we engage in buyback programs in communities. So the man with the wheelbarrow, we had a buyback program in La Scala, Tishi, and then he brought these plastics of his in exchange for money. So we weighed what he brought to us, and then we gave him something in the form of money, equivalent to what he brought to us. Then also, with CISA, recyclables are processed into flakes and are sold as raw materials to large recycling industries in Ghana, like Mini Plus, and then some Chinese company along the Odoko road. Please, the next slide. Yes, so how do we start our recycling journey? What we are saying at CISA is that refuse plastics when it is not necessary. Let's say you go to the wache seller, and then the wache seller would put your wache into the takeaway pack, then put it into another plastic, tie it, and then put it into another plastic. What we are saying is that you can refuse all these plastics when they are being given to you. So with the takeaway, you can go in for the leaves that are being used of late. Then also we are saying that use reusable bags that you can use often and often, like the paper bags that have been introduced into the system. And then again, we are saying that do not litter and then keep plastics in the loop. And then start sorting at source to reduce contamination. And then avoid to purchase drink that is not recyclable in Ghana. And then identify a collection center near you and swap your plastic products for rewards. Then the top tip that we are giving is that you can remove the cap of your pet's plastic bottle. You squash the bottle flat to remove any air inside. Then you screw the cap back on. This helps both the buyback center and you to save space and enables you to transport and store more bottles. Yes, so how do we identify our plastics? When you go into town and then probably you purchase Beolakwa drinking water, underneath the bottle, there are some numbers that have been written underneath them. So let's say you want to know if the Beolakwa bottle is a PET bottle, is an HDP, is from PVC, is from LDP or PP. You look underneath the bottle, and then the bottle, the number written underneath the bottle will help you know the class of the plastic. So with the PET bottles, majority of them are bottled waters, and then soft drinks, the beverages that we buy from town and all that. These are examples of the PET bottles. Then we are seeing that with HDP, majority of them, to identify these plastics as well, the PET bottles, that is bottles from the Olakwa, Guinness malt, and all other, these other plastics. For you to be able to identify the type of plastic or which class they belong to. With the PET, we are saying that they are usually clear or green. And then when broken into pieces, it can sink in water. And then also it is a barrier to gas and then moisture. Then when we take our HDP, we say they are semi-rigid. They also sink in water. They are resistant to moisture and permeable to gas. Then our PVC, we say they are semi-rigid. They are closed, they also sink in water. Then our LDP, like our pure water sachet, they are flexible. They are easy of processing, easy of sealing, and then barrier to moisture. Then our PP, we say they are semi-rigid. They are low gloss, resistance to heat, chemicals, grease, and then oil. So again, we have also other forms of characteristics that will help you identify these plastic bottles. So our PET, like we said earlier, they are fairly flexible and deformable. It is easy to crash a bottle. It is easy to crash a Beolacqua bottle. It's easy to crash that of Guinness malt. And then we are saying that they are easily and smooth to cut. It's very easy when you put a scissors or a blade into it. It's very easy for you to cut it. And then after cutting these ones into pieces, you would want to further know if these plastic bottles still belong to the class of PET bottles. So when you dip them into water, you realize that they sink. It is very easy for them to sink. And then also, when you try to burn it, it burns slowly. It doesn't just start burning on it, but it's a gradual process when it comes to the burning. So like we said, some of our PET bottles are bottled water, our cooking oil bottles, and then our beverage bottles. Then LDP plastic, like we said, pure water sachet. We said they are easily and smooth to cut. They float in water. They are easily flexible and then soft. And then when you burn them, they have a scent of, the smell is like that of a burning candle. And then aside the water sachet, other examples are the beverage cups, the pure water sachet, as well as some shopping bags. Then our HDP plastics. We say these types of plastics are transparent. They are fairly stiff and hard. They can be scratched with fingernails, and it is also easier to cut into smooth edges. It floats in water. It's not self-extinguishing. And then it also has a smell, that kind of candle smell, kind of. And then examples are detergent bottles, toys, buckets, shampoos, as well as conditioner bottles. Then we have the PP types of plastics. These ones, they are stiff and hard. It can be scratched with your fingernails. They are harder to cut and has sharp edges. It also floats in water. And then the smell is that of a diesel. It has this diesel kind of smell. Then these examples are food containers, are some kind of straws, bottle caps, as well as medicine bottles. So then what are we saying? CISA is saying that we are encouraging each and everyone here to, if you are not segregating your waste, this is an opportunity for you to start segregating your waste. So probably you can have a bin for that of PET, have a bin for LDP, and then have a bin for your general waste. So for the PET and then the LD, that is the water sachet, you can have organizations like CISA coming to your homes to pick them up, weigh them, and then give you money or any other form of incentive equivalent to the points that you have generated. Then you give the other forms of waste, that is the organic waste and the food waste, to the other waste collectors like Zoom Live. So at CISA, we are saying that we engage in the collection of bottles, water sachet, hard plastics, and then beverage cans. We don't engage in the collection of glasses or rubber bags, like the, excuse me to say, etiomosu, and then nose masks, as well as other forms of rubbish. Then as well, we don't collect from our beaches and our seas, because we realize that when they get to our point, it's either it's full of sand or it is too salty, making it difficult to engage in the recycling. Yes. So these are some of the recyclable gotten out of our LDPs, our HDPs, our PETs, and then our PPs. So we are able to get our textiles, our nylon. Majority of the materials we use in sewing are made up of plastics. Then we also have our domestic products like our buckets, our plastic chairs, our tables that are being generated. So a company like Miniplast engages in the recycling of plastics into other forms of plastic like our tables, our chairs, and then other forms of domestic products. Then we have the construction items also. Nail Plus. I don't know if any of us knows of Nail Plus. Nail Plus is a company that is using these plastic bottles to generate concrete blocks for construction. And then also we have the plastic lumber, which is also being manufactured by Pyramid, an organization which is located around Dakuma Cable. Then we have the raw materials, that is the flakes. After we have gotten them, we crush them and then we get the flakes out of them. And these flakes are what we use in generating these other forms of plastics. So thank you very much. That's the end of my presentation. I don't know if there's any question. If there's any question any of us on that.
Okay. Wow, that was a very good presentation. But I was just so surprised at one particular thing you highlighted, which was when the plastics go into the beaches, they become so dirty to recycle.
Yes.
I'm sure everyone was also wowed about that. If you have your questions, kindly do well to drop it in the chat box. But now we'll be going to a very fascinating presentation with Engineer Solomon, who serves as the head of department for the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, and you'll be delivering a presentation on waste management in general and its health benefit to the public. Engineer Solomon, please, if you're on the call, the floor is yours. Hello, Engineer Solomon, can you hear me? Okay, whilst we are waiting for Engineer Solomon to join the call, if there are any questions, we would want to take them now. Do we have any questions? Any questions?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I have a question because I was wondering about, thank you first of all for your presentation. That was very interesting. And I really liked hearing about the waste segregation that SESA does. And I was wondering whether there is like a manual for people living around Accra that they can figure out which companies can collect which kind of waste that they have segregated. There were some examples were mentioned, but I was just thinking that it would be very useful for people to have like an overview to make it very easy for them to know whom they can turn to with which kind of waste.
Okay, thank you for that question. Susan, would you want to answer this question? I know it doesn't really fall under your jurisdiction. Would you want to say something about this before?
My network dropped, so I didn't really hear what she said.
Okay,
she was asking, repeat the question.
She was asking if there is any, what will I call it, any manual that has all organizations that are in charge of recycling a particular type of waste that can be shared with the communities.
Actually, no. I don't know of any.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for that response. Same here on my end. We don't know of any, but as part of the Zero Waste Project, we're also looking at having that kind of brochure that tells people, the individuals that are in charge of waste and where they can send it to. Apart from that, the project we are doing Dade, we are having a material recovery facility where we are bringing on board individuals that will be in charge of different types of waste. So SESA is on the facility, they'll be in charge of collecting plastics. We would have Africa Waste, they are into organic waste. Gaio is also into organic waste. We convert organic waste to compost. So we'd also deal in that collection. We have other organizations like All Foundation in charge of cloth recycling, so they can collect clothes and then recycle them. We have organizations like Gamma Energy, who are in charge of collecting coconut husk and converting them to charcoal briquettes, like charcoal for household energy use. And we have different organizations coming on the same platform. So it will look like a waste mall for everyone. And that is the project we are highlighting with the Dade Kotopon Municipal Assembly. And I hope each one of you will contribute to that vision by going into their community and telling them that, yes, this is what we want to do. This is how to segregate your waste. For the meantime, we want to start with plastics collection. So during that day on the sensitization ground, we would all have waste pickers with us. They will be holding sacks, rubber, not the type of sacks. I don't know if you know them. Those branded sacks. We will give to the households for them to collect their bottles and bring to the assembly when they can, or they can just give it to the waste picker to bring to the assembly for them. And when they bring it, they can be incentivized. They give it to the waste picker. After all, you're removing waste from my house, so you can just give the money to them. But now it's time for everyone to know that waste is not waste, but waste is resources. Do you have any other questions? Okay, if there are no other questions, I would like us to move on to, whilst we wait for Engineer Solomon, I'd like us to move on to how to administer survey questions, Don't forget that when you get into that community, as Emmanuel mentioned, he said, when you get there, you have to ask them some questions. What is your general thought on waste? So that when you ask them those questions, you tend to prick their mind to accept whatever you are going to tell them. So this is where the survey questions is coming on. So just to note, when you go into the community, you'll be having 3 documents with you. The first one is the survey questions that you're going to ask the communities. The second one is the campaign guideline. That one is for you. You're just going to hold it. It will be in a poster form. So the document will show to you what is segregation, what is the project, so that when they ask you, you can be able to communicate to them. So just have that guideline of meeting somebody and speaking to the person. And then you have a third item with you, which is how to segregate, a poster on how to segregate. It's going to have pictures. And this, we are expecting that when you get to the community or the person, you hand this poster to them and say, this is how to segregate. These are the various types of waste. For better and clarity, when you're explaining how to segregate to the person. And as I mentioned, you'll be having a sack with you too. You're going to give to the community member and say, please put your plastics here. We have a buyback center at Dade Kotopon. You can bring your plastics. And that day too, we'll be using a van to carry everyone. So when you go and meet anybody, you can ask the person, do you have plastic waste on you? You can just take it, put it in the van, and then we take it to the site. And that will be all. So now, how to administer survey questions. To help us do this, I would like to call on Nee Omabo. He's a finance assistant at United Nations Development Program. So Nee, the floor is yours. Thank you.
So a bit of introduction. Aside being part of UNDP, I'm part of the Gaio community. So super happy to be here. And I feel like the Zero Waste project is very important as we look forward to moving towards a more sustainable country. So just like the gentleman from Arusha, Ghana mentioned, it's important that in engaging the community, we reassure them that this is not a survey that is going to take their information and going to sell their information or whatsoever, but it's just to engage them on how important it is to segregate, how important it is to ensure that waste becomes treasure and not waste. So in engaging them, first of all, you need to write your name. So in the survey, like it's being shared on the screen, you have to write your name and then, of course, the municipality. You put in your age, and then to engage them, you put in, their age and their sex, and then ask for their marital status to know whether they are single, married, or other. And you engage them further by asking their religion, whether Christian, Muslim, traditionalists, etc. Some may not want to really tell you, so it's important also to know that and be cautious of that in advance. So education level, illiterate, primary, secondary, higher, you put it there. And then we move into B. So the B talks about the household characteristics of the people you're engaging with, so where they live. So you first of all find out what their profession is, so the profession of the head of the household, and then engage them further, asking if they are a government employee, private person, a business owner, housewife, student, retired, etc. You put it down there if it's not stated in the listed, and then you engage them on how much they earn. Some will tell you, some will not want to tell you. But what you can do is equally ask for so a range. So between, you can suggest to them between, I know some of them speak or equally, I mean, in your make in a month between 100 and 500 cedis in your make, so that you can be able to strike an average of how much they make. And then residential, to find out whether it's detached, flat. Usually they won't be able to tell you, so you have to identify and see whether it's a detached or semi-detached or flat or compound house. And then you move on further, house ownership, if it's for them, rented, ask if they have electricity supply, which is
sorry to cut you. Is it possible for you to explain the detached, semi-detached house?
Okay, I wish I could share my screen, but semi-detached houses. Okay, I'll move forward and come back to it. I'll come back to it. So to move forward, so you asked if they have.
Share your screen.
Sorry.
You said you wanted to share your screen.
I'll find the semi-detached houses and then share.
Okay, sure, that's fine. So you want
I'll share a later time. Okay, so we move on to engage them on how their house is powered, if it has access to electricity or not, and then if they have power, water supply as well, if they cook at home, relevant, what their schedule for cooking is, if they cook daily, some buy from outside, and the household size. I mean, all these are really relevant for engaging them, so that we're able to analyze in introducing the zero waste project for it to be successful. So we move on to the waste generation composition. I'm sure by now most of us really understand the different composition of waste. So so you ask them how is their waste generated at home. Some will tell you it's good, it's very good, it's medium, and further asks how the waste is disposed. So do we have trucks coming for them every day, once a week, and bi-weekly, etc. Then you move on to how they dispose the waste. So you dispose your waste in polythene, in small bucket, in a dustbin. You have to find out all those things. I see between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. After 6 p.m., some even burn them, etc. So find out. So we move on to ask them, how often do the waste collectors in the municipality collect the waste? Do they come for it every day? once in 3 days, bi-weekly, that as well. And then if they explain further, usually people will tell you different things. So if they explain further, and then you'll be able to put down notes depending on what they say. Okay, so we move on to their perception associated with environmental protection. So how important is environmental protection to you? Find out. Is it important? Some will tell you, me, I don't see the relevance of it. Some will tell you that it's quite important. So find out. And then you ask them, in their view, what is the most important environmental problem in Accra? So some may tell you poor waste management, some will tell you deforestation, air pollution, rivers, wetlands degradation. Okay. And then you ask them, in their view, what are the 3 most important environmental problems? So there are a number of them that you can actually mention. If you ask people, they'll mention them, but highlight 3 of them that is very important and relevant to the survey. And then you find out who should solve the environmental problems. And you ask them, is it the government? Is it yourself? Is it the media? Is the media not projecting the issues quite clearly? Is the private sector like Zoomlion or monopolizing the system? Find out. And then you have to engage them as well. If they've made any donations to environmental protection. So how often they do that, how often they support different projects related to environmental protection. If they participated in tree planting exercises, cleanup, environmental protection surveys like this before, if they've done health work related to environment, you can engage them further and ask them to know what they've been up to so that you can highlight in the survey. Now, moving on to perception associated with waste management. So it's important as well to find out what they think about the waste management situation in Ghana. So ask them, do you think waste management is important? And try as much as possible to engage them enough and make it more like an interaction so that you don't make them feel left out. And if you speak the local language, to come to their level so that they will be able to converse with them. Okay. And then we move on. Did I see somebody can hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. So it's important to also engage them further. Who is responsible to keep the environment clean? Is it children? Is it community members, assembly, private operators? Which of the following problems generated from improper waste disposal is responsible to the local environment? So waste being disposed in drains and blocking the drains, whether it's waste being disposed in the sewage, find out. And also, do you educate your household on waste? So find out if among them in their community, maybe in talking to their children, at church, whatsoever. But in the context of household waste, how do you educate, or how do you engage people on waste? Do you engage people on waste, yes or no? What motivates you to dispose your waste? Is it hygiene, fear of illness, or maybe because you want to keep the environment clean? So engage them further on that. And then which system do they prefer for removal of their household waste? A collector coming for it from their house, or they disposing the waste in a dustbin, or if they keep it in a container and put it by the roadside and the collector will collect, etc. Now, it's also important further to inquire of them how much they pay monthly for people coming for their waste. And then if their waste is collected directly from their house, or it's suitable if it's collected for them every day, every 2 days. So which do they think is preferred by them? When you go on further to inquire that when do they want their waste to be collected, or when do they like their waste to be collected? Some people get angry if you come for their waste in the morning because they have to wake up early just because somebody's come to collect their waste. So find out that, and then ask them if they know, do you know that from kitchen and vegetable waste and organic fertilizer can be made with good for the environment. That's not degrade fertility of land like other chemical fertilizers. So I'm sure now we know the different categories of waste. So organic waste. So ask them further that do they know that kitchen and vegetable waste can be used to generate organic fertilizer? So instead of using chemical fertilizers, do they know that it's possible that things like vegetables like this that we collect from our kitchens can be used for organic fertilizer? And then ask if they prefer organic fertilizer maybe, and then if they use it for their garden, if they would like to use it for their garden, or whether not you're a farmer. Even if you're not a farmer, would you want to one day, if you own a farm, use organic fertilizer? Now, waste segregation at source. So ask them now. I'm sure we understand the waste segregation based on the last presentation before me. So ask them if they presently segregate waste, if they have the different categories of waste. So at home, do you have a place where you put, say, all plastic sachet? You have another container for all bottles. You have another container for all vegetable waste. So ask them if they presently segregate their waste. And then you would want to know also if to them there's any benefit in waste segregation. And ask them if the waste segregation itself, if they know that it can generate revenue for them. So ask them, will you agree to separate your kitchen waste from other household waste? Yes or no. So if no, will you agree if you are given separate containers to segregate your kitchen waste from other waste? So find out if maybe LADMA decided that they are come to give every household waste bins to segregate the different types of waste. Would they be interested in still segregating their waste? And then what other resources do they need to do this effectively? Find out. It's important to gather this information so that as a way of introducing the zero waste model, it can be effectively put in place. Okay, so you further inquire if can you segregate your waste effectively without any logistics from the assembly? Find out from them. And then you move on to the different recycling repair models, the 3 hours, what we call the 3 hours, the famous 3 hours. So, okay, so you ask them different questions depend on the recycling repair model. So ask them if they repair damaged items, if possible. Ask them if they reuse items like bags and boxes. If they donate clothes they no longer need. If they use canvas, paper, or biodegradable bags for shopping. If they use rechargeable batteries, solar powered, renewable energy powered electricals. And then you finally, our last question, ask them if they donate electrical and electronic appliances to other people or for recycling or repair or refurbishment. So these are very important questions for the survey, and I hope that we'll really engage. One of the things that survey does for you, gives you opportunity to connect with the community that you belong to and to engage with them and interact and make sure you get the best of information so that the zero waste model can be successful for the benefits of all of us. So I wish us all the best, and looking forward to Friday and Saturday.
Thank you very much, Nee. That was a great presentation from your end. As a chief surveyor within communities, I said that was a very great one. Not easy going through all those questions. And I would say the same to every one of us here. It wouldn't be easy, but it could be in the form of a conversation when you are able to just get the conversation going, it would flow. And just to inform everyone, we would have two aspects of the survey questions. We will have the digital one, the same questions. If you have a phone that uses network and can access documents, you can use your phone to input all the answers so that you just move on next. And if you don't have that kind of phone, you can use the paper and tick the answers and just quickly write the answers where you think you can. So that's how the survey questions will be presented. Hopefully, if you are able to join us on Saturday, we can have this. And please to mention, on Saturday, we'll be giving out reflectors, and we have a different special something for the first 50 that are going to come to the assembly. A very special package for the first 50 that are going to come to the assembly. I know that most of you are not on the call because most of you have issues with network, issues with school, etc. Hopefully on the ground, on Friday and Saturday, we'll do well to just take you through the guideline of going on the sensitization quickly, so that when you get into the community, you can easily communicate with anyone you meet and anyone you see. I would like us to turn on our camera and take a very quick picture before we continue, because we are closing in the next few minutes. We wanted to have in person the AMA director. However, we think he's having some technical issues on his side. So if we don't mind, can we turn on our picture to take a group photo? Whilst we are taking the group photo, kindly let's recall, if you have any questions, do well to ask them whilst you're taking the group picture. Okay, so now next on the agenda, whilst we still kind of waiting for Mr. Solomon from AMA, would like to take the vote of thanks from Saudat, who serves as the Assistant Project Coordinator, interning with Gaio, doing her national service with Gaio, sorry. So Saudat, the floor is yours.
Good evening, distinguished audience. Sad enough, this webinar has come to a beautiful end, and I'm pleased to deliver the vote of thanks for this event to all esteemed individuals assembled here. I'm in the person of Saudat Kamaruddin, as introduced earlier, Assistant Project Coordinator, Accra Gaio. First of all, I'd like to thank God Almighty for making this event possible. Our program manager, Mr. Desmond Alumno, the Finance Assistant, UNDP, Ninoy Omabo, Mr. Emmanuel Texan of Arocha, Ghana, Madam Susanna Kwanza of Sesa Recycling, our very own Eldad Akom, our facilitator, Betty Osei Bonsu, our volunteers, and all gathered here. Thank you all for taking time off your busy schedule to grace this webinar and contributing to the sensitization of individuals, which aims to achieve a sustainable zero waste community. This couldn't have been possible without each and every one of you. Thank you all once again, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Haja, for that beautiful vote of thanks. It's unfortunate you couldn't get Mr. Solomon to join us on the call. However, we are hopeful that we might have him on the grounds on Friday and Saturday to join us on the sensitization. Whilst that, we'd like to take some questions, especially from the units committee. If there are any, and any other questions from the volunteers. Mr. Eddie Adams, I see you're on the call. Do you have anything for us? Please, you're muted. It looks like today we are all talking muted. Can you unmute yourself? Okay, let me unmute you. Okay, Mr. Eddie, you are muted, so can you unmute yourself? Okay, great.
Hello.
Yes, please, we can hear you.
In your earlier submission, you just made us aware that you are going to start with plastic. Yes. Why only plastic?
Okay. When it comes to, we do not want to hold ourselves immediately with everything. We could have some backlogs, we could have some issues. So we don't want to do that. So we want to make it a gradual segregation process, where for the meantime we are collecting plastics, which we know that we are going to be incentivizing the people to bring to the assembly. So when you bring the plastic, they are going to pay you. We want to prepare the ground for the organic preparation, fertilizers, and bring in other stakeholders who will be doing the various types of waste. So we want it to be gradual. Apart from the plastics, we also have on ground individuals that are collecting iron and metallic cans, as you mentioned. So metallic cans and ions, we can add those ones on the material recovery facility. So it's not really only plastic, but we want to start with plastic collection for the meantime, because we would be distributing the sacks for plastic collection.
All right, thank you.
As the project progresses, then we start bringing in the remaining aspects of the waste.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So just to add on that day, all the unit committees would be designated to each group. We are hoping to get an estimated number of 100 people on the ground. We are hoping to get an estimated number of 100 people on the ground. So we are looking forward to attending to the 3 areas within Ladade, the Adebeto, Ediembra, and Emphantium. Pardon my pronunciation. I'm very terrible when it comes to pronunciations. So those are the 3 areas. We'll be assigning 30 people each. We would have 5 groups each. We have the schools. We've already reached out to the schools. So all we're going to do is that all the individuals will just go to the various schools, 5 each from the various schools. You would have your campaign guideline, you would have your segregation poster, and you'd also have your survey questionnaires with your plastic, your sacks. When you get to the community, you give it to them. You'd also have maybe some little items to exhibit with you, like plastics, metals, to show them in case you meet somebody who doesn't really understand English or doesn't understand Ga, and maybe understands only Hausa language. So you could just explain to the person that this is this and this is that. So that is all when it comes to Friday and Saturday engagements. So please, there is a link on the page for those of you that have not registered to be part of the sensitization on Friday and Saturday. Kindly do so. However, the rest of you, we have you on pages. We'll just send all the details to the various pages. And on that day, we'll do well to also resend so that you have it in hand. So once again, I would like to thank everyone for joining this call. Are there any other questions?
Yes, the last time we had a similar session like this, and then someone made a point that we may use their information to request for grant or something of a sort for our interest.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I think that's a brilliant question. The question he asked was, how would you respond to a question from a particular person that says, you are going to use my details or my information to go and request for grants? So here is the answer. This is not a survey for a report or for a grant request, because this project is already going on. It is visible. There is a material recovery facility. And in that material recovery facility, we want to bring waste there and recover those wastes. We are not only recovering waste, but we'll be providing jobs opportunity. Right there and then, you are giving them a sack to bring their plastics. So I don't think anyone will be able to ask you, you want to use my information to go and collect a grant. Because if you look at the questions on the survey questionnaire, you can have a question like, what time do you want your waste to be collected? That is to the benefit of the person, so that we don't come at odd times. Questions like, what types of waste do you have in your house? It's a question benefiting the person so that we know the types of waste that they are available and see the types of waste that we can start massive collection, because the ones that are in the environment or the ones that are within the community most nowadays is the plastic waste. So we want to start with that, and gradually we can scale. So a person asking you, you want to use my data to go and collect grant. You say, I'm sorry, this project is already going on, so there's no way we can go and collect grants. This particular survey is to your benefit. We want to see what you already have in your head so that we can educate you more on what we want to collect in terms of waste and how we want to see our environment clean. I hope I answered your question. Okay, if Isaac, I can hear you, but I don't know if your question has been answered.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for.
Okay, that's great to hear. So please, are there any other questions? Francis, do you have anything from your end to? Okay, so if there are none, I would like to bring the meeting to an end. If there are no questions, I look forward to seeing you on Friday and Saturday. On Friday, we'll be giving all the reflectors. Saturday too, we have some parcel for everyone that is going to come. When you come, we have buses to convey you to the various areas. Don't forget to bring along your water bottles. So please bring your water bottles. We have dispensers for you to fill all your, the number of water you want, or the quantity of water you want, so that you can send them to the various areas. And don't forget to put a smile on your face when administering the survey questionnaires or when talking to the community individuals. Oh my God, Mr. Eddie, your smiles is killing me. I just can't stop smiling looking at you. So thank you very much, everyone. And this is a call to a close of a meeting.